Hello, everyone. Welcome to Building Community through Mixed Media in the studio with artist Marcie Wolf-Hubbard. We're so happy to have you joining us. Marcie is a downtown Silver Spring artist for so many years and also an integral part of SSTCI's creative programming as she leads hands-on art workshops, both in person and virtually for us, including the tiny house one that we've been doing these last few winters. And she also hosts our quarterly virtual art shows that feature an array of community artists. So stay tuned for our autumn one coming up later in the fall. Before we get started, I wanted to tell you about a few other things we have coming up. I know we are recording this, by the way. We are hosting our summer art salon this Wednesday at the Corner Farm, 6:30 to 8 p.m. Creativity on the farm with artist, poet, and climate justice activist Neha Mishra. So please join us. It's for people from along the creative spectrum, artists, writers, poets, filmmakers, and more. So you can bring a piece of your work to briefly share and just share in the camaraderie with other creatives. And it's always a fun time. That's at the Coiner Farm, which is an urban farm, 1 acre, a sort of oasis in the downtown, just near the library on 737 Easley, near the Silver Spring Library. So I hope you can join us this Wednesday at 6:30. And then on Thursday, we have another event under the stars with the Capitol Hillbillies. That will be on El Golfo's patio from 6 to 9, and they'll be performing old time blues music. And they're an excellent bunch of musicians. So please come and join us at El Golfo Thursday, Wednesday at the Corner Farm. And then Twilight Tuesdays is every Tuesday. We have salsa on the plaza tomorrow night and flow arts on the second Tuesdays and many other activities every Tuesday during the warm half of the year. All of our events are made possible with generous support from Montgomery County, United Therapeutics, the Arts and Humanities of Montgomery County, Maryland State Arts, Montgomery College, and many others. And also, I want to mention we have our 11th annual Harvest Moon Festival coming up, and we have opportunities for artists to exhibit and sell their artwork and arts and crafts, handicrafts as well. And a 10 by 10 spot is only $75 right now until August 20th. Then it goes up to $125. We have an array of international music and dance, starting off with the Culkin School of Irish Dance. We have Caribbean steel drum music with positive vibrations. Halau Nohona Hawaii will bring the aloha spirit with Hawaiian music and dance. And we have Crush Funk Brass Band also, as well as Silver Spring Flow Arts, doing a light show activity as the sun sets that evening, 1 to 7 p.m. on Veterans Plaza, Sunday, September 22nd. And now let's get started with the program. As you know, Marcie is a teaching artist, and she receives so many accolades from her students. I'm one of them included. Everyone just loves Marcie for her caring nature and ways of nurturing a creative space to learn and expand one's artistic abilities, teaching in mixed media and in caustic. Marcie also has an exciting thing coming up that she can tell you about. She's going to be doing a presentation with a similar title to what we have with Building Community. She's going to be going to New Zealand soon. Marcie, welcome. Please tell us more what you have coming up.
Hi, yeah, it is. It's later this month. I'm going to be presenting at the ITAC 7 International Teaching Artists Conference, or International Teaching Artists Collaborative Conference. And I've attended virtually before. It's every other year. And this time I'm going to go in person. I submitted a proposal and they accepted it. So we are going to go, my husband and I. And doing a workshop for other teaching artists. Here we go. Building a tiny community in mixed media. So I think it'll be really cool for, who knows? I guess I just don't know what to expect. I don't know that much, really. So I'm excited, but when it happens, so just later this month. But you'll see the kind of work that I do, and also my students, and this is about community. And like I don't have this in the slideshow, but actually right in front of me, I started working on a tiny oval office. Here it is. I did some of the paper mache. Since it's right here, right? It'll take shape. It'll start looking like, right? Some modifications. Anyway, so that's to come. And but while I was working on it, it's like I remember how much I do enjoy doing these tiny interiors or exteriors, and somehow you just kind of get into it. So anyway, I'm going to do this slideshow, and I start out with some of the art that I had done years ago and seeing how it relates to maybe what I do now in my work in the community also. So let's see. All right, so Lisa just put something in the chat. Yeah, Lisa, if you can tell me if there's something in the chat I should see, let me know. Okay.
Sure. Did you want to take comments and questions at the end or along the way?
It can be along the way. That's
Okay.
fine. Okay, so I guess I will start to share. And some of you should be seeing some of your work in here too. So, okay. So Lisa and I talked about what I was going to do, and she came up with the building. You know what? Sorry, I need to change this so I can see better. Well, I guess I can. All right, I'll just leave it as it is. Okay, so including community in this. So anyway, I did give it some captions so you can get an idea. That is me from 1982, and liking working in mixed media, using different materials. And in this case, I was using enamel paint, especially for that metallic. And I had this friend, David Shin, photographer, he gave me pictures. And so I would just paint on them. So I guess it was like Dr. Martin's inks or watercolors, Winsor Newton. I don't really remember exactly, but I did end up pursuing commercial work with illustration similar to this. So you'll see some things from back in the day. At one point in my senior year of college at University of Maryland, I lived in Beltsville in a group house. And the interesting thing about this, it was painted on cardboard. And my friend Janine, I think, and I got this cardboard from the bowling alley. So we had like a couple large pieces of cardboard. The next one was painted on cardboard. But I also share this with my students so they get the idea of what I talk about, realistic abstraction. And Lisa, if you can emit someone. Okay. So anyway, just I feel like I'm drawing with a brush, and I relay that to people. But can any of you recognize the car that's that we see closer? it was my car. It was not red. I'm not sure why I made it that color. Anyone? Is it enough of the vehicle so you know what it is? Maybe not.
Your
Lisa?
Subaru?
No.
You
This
had
one.
a red car or orange?
Is it an MG?
No. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know if we see anything else behind the tree because I have the whole all the people on Zoom kind of in that area. So it's a 1971 Dodge Dart Swinger. That's what it is.
Cool.
And the color was nothing like that. It was, they called it butterscotch, which was, it's kind of like cadmium orange color. So I liked it a lot. So I had this kind of affinity to it. Anyway, it was included in this artwork. Around the same time, this was the backyard where I grew up, and two of my dogs, and then again. So I guess I was thinking maybe interested in shape and the color, and I kind of like the palette here. I feel like it's comfortable for me. So let me see if I was going to put anything else here. No, okay. And that's in oils, just like this one. Back it was like, I guess about 88. I met Barbara Tyroler. She was in the DC area. She used to also later, or was working at the University of Maryland in the studio art program. But I met her because she worked at a parent-child center. And she gave me photographs of hers and just said, you can do what you like with them. And I started painting on her photographs. This is one of them. And you'll see I do tend to put borders around. Anyway, this is acrylic, and I used it for promotion and marketing, and this was the first editorial commercial job that I got. Dr. Gallo, who was one of the scientists that discovered the AIDS virus. And I guess I was called on when people did not have a color photograph. So I could do just add color to it. So this, and back in that time, I would go to the library, and it was kind of like a scavenger looking for articles, things that relate to this article. And I, back in that time, I was making photocopies and did my own kind of composite, and I sent it off for camera work, and that's what we had to do in those days. So I would paint on something that's like photo paper. And so these were the kind of altered photos that I would make commercially. Just also at the time, just I would paint. Here's pastel. I also did a lot of drawings in golf courses. I just love the landscape, the color, the kind of area. This is some plein air painting, and here at DuPont Circle in oils. And I guess the challenge was, how do I show that there's water running down the fountain? And so just kind of maybe the direction of how I'm showing the white paint or the partially paint on the brush. And so that was coming across. So I also am interested in architectural elements. You'll see more. And I'll go over here. If this is only about like 9 by 14, something like that. Around the same time, I painted up the upper left, also DuPont Circle. So interested in architecture. Of course, it's not very realistic, but it's just what I take from what I'm seeing in bringing it into an artwork here. Maybe it was 12 by 12. And this one on the bottom is the walkway at the National Seminary. It's also in oils. It's on a synthetic parchment. And my good friend, I don't think she's on here now, just moved to that National Seminary. I don't know if any of you know, it's in Silver Spring. It used to be the Army owned it. It was a girls' finishing school. It has a interesting history and a lot of cool buildings that I used to draw and pastel and also paint in oils. And anyway, so now she lives near there. When they started renovating, it just, to me, of course, it doesn't look so charming, but it was buildings that I was interested in painting. And I haven't walked in the back area there, but a lot of interesting sculptures and other buildings, because some of the buildings were sorority houses. Like there's a windmill, there's a castle. I don't know that the castle was renovated. And then this was in 2004. So you saw that I had done the painting on photographs. Around this time, I was getting a training for artists in hospitals or artists in healthcare settings. It was through Montgomery College, and Dr. Judy Rollins was teaching it. And we had to choose where we were going to work. So we would do like a pilot program for several months. And I thought, what kind of art form, what project would I like to do with the seniors? And these are seniors with dementia. And I thought they might like looking at old postcards. So I probably collected more. Maybe I had some for collage anyway. And also, if you see, there's press type in here from when I was doing design production work, press type, rub on letters, chart pen. So that's what this was from. And sometimes I cut it up still and or cut out and just turn them around. Here's another. And this and the last one, they were done on photo paper because I had it. And back when I was doing the commercial illustration, it needed to be to wrap around a drum for the photographer. So it was flexible. Anyway, so that, and at one point, I actually painted a door, like a household door, based on this painting. It was selected to be in Columbia, through the Columbia Art Center, and around the lake. And I made it so it was weatherproof and all that. But the door no longer exists because I had to make space here. But anyway, it was like this door, like this artwork. I included this because I was also doing things like extending postcards, and this is something I do and have in my classes. People would recognize using the postcards as a starting point. And around, I guess it was 2005, I had an exhibit at Ann Fisher Gallery in Georgetown with 2 other artists, and it was the first time I exhibited these artworks, and it did pretty well. This is a painting I did for my niece who lives in University Park, and they were renovating their kitchen, but she wanted to keep this one door. So I painted a view at Brookside Gardens on her door, cabinet door. And I was doing some other paintings on cabinet doors, upcycling.
Marcie, we have a question from Elizabeth in the chat. If you could explain realistic abstraction.
Okay, so realistic abstraction, if we go back and look at this or that, I say I take the essence of what I'm seeing. It's not so realistic, nothing photorealistic, but it could be abstracting what I'm seeing. And I always say, like, all the clues are right there in front of you. Maybe I'm going to focus on the shapes, things like that. So color, so it's expressive, but it's representational too. And some people call it like abstract realism. And years ago, when I was at the Maryland Institute of Art, I had an instructor, Phil Koch, and I believe he had termed his art realistic abstraction. And there's a catalog with his work in it, and I can't locate it, but he had a pretty good description of it too. So anyway, Elizabeth, is that good enough? Because I do have like a slideshow about it. I can share something with you.
She gave a thumbs up. Does that mean that you might paint, like the sky might be pale blue, but you might make it kind of rose colored, pink, because that's possible color of a sky, but you would never make it green?
Whatever you like. Maybe in this case, I guess it was the composition appealed to me, the trees and
Yeah.
the area and the other houses. And I think abstracting, breaking it down into shapes, like you look at the houses, you see the roof, the side. So it's not anything like photorealistic, but it's kind of taking off on what I see and
So, but
expressing.
it should fit within a realistic expectation of the colors.
No, it's
Okay.
the artist decides.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks to me more like impressionist.
You could say
So,
that, right?
because you can tell it's a tree in the neighborhood and whatnot, but it's not an exact one-to-one comparison.
Right. And if we go back to the here, this seems a little like impressionist, maybe because of the brush strokes. It's bringing the color out. I look at the lights and darks, notice contrast. One thing I was going to say about this, and when I was looking back at this slideshow, it reminds me, there's an artist, Karen Fogarty, and she talks about edge quality. Right. And in her work, a lot of it's architectural and it's loosely painted, but she uses, you'll see like white highlights. And so it's the edge that can convey the volume, the structure of what you're looking at too. So it's not exactly impressionistic, but I don't know. She, again, someone else who does a very good description of it. And when I was listening to her video, it was like, that's exactly how I feel. So, and she got an edge quality. So if you look closely, you could see, how am I handling some of the edges? And for me, that's how some of this comes about, like with the houses. I'm showing a little bit of shadow change, light to dark. But the edge is where it seems more or a better way of conveying even perspective that way. And the direction, how I'm painting with the brush.
And I think in the one that you had of the fountain, you really do get an impression, a feeling of this water moving.
Mhm.
Being able to capture that, and to a certain degree, the wind blowing through the trees and stuff. So you hit it does give it feels like it's moving, as opposed to a static still image.
Right. And also while I'm there, I was on site, it was plein air. You could hear it. It was lively around there. Now that I'm looking, I see that I have some people included in the park. So not every detail, but just to almost like a hint of what was going on, with just a little color here, a little shape. And if I was doing it today, maybe I'd include people. I'm not sure, but interesting to look back all these years and see it.
Marcie, the people bring to mind Monet's work Saturday afternoon in the park, or whatever it's called. It looks a lot like that in the colors and the shapes of the clothing and how they're kind of facing, like they were all facing the water. Do you know which picture I'm talking about? The painting I'm talking about?
Not,
Monet's Saturday afternoon. There's people like picnicking along a river.
I think
Or
that's Seurat. I don't think it's Monet.
It's not Monet?
I don't, I forgot. Someone else here might know. Renee probably knows.
Is it Manet
I don't know that it's
as
Manet.
opposed to Monet?
Um,
I just went to see that immersive thing with him, and it shows some of the artists in that genre. I know I can see it in my head. What it's called, who knows?
right. And I do really like Manet's work a lot. How he handles paint.
Or it's
Um,
Sunday, sorry, it's called Sunday Afternoon on it's Seurat. Painted a
right.
Sunday afternoon on La Grande Jatte.
Right. So, and that's even like, I don't know, is that the pointillism? I mean, but the light, focusing on the light and changes. What else was I going to say? I don't know. Okay. Well, I included this because it's something that I enjoy, and I'm not really doing plein air painting. I might draw on site, and depends on the materials I have. And I was going to say a lot of it has to do with materials and what mediums, and you can choose to work in different mediums, and it's always a challenge, and there's a benefit to one medium versus another. Oh, so here I was mentioning the cabinet doors. Well, at one point, I had written like a diary about getting rid of mice in my house. A lot of people know about that. And this was back in 2008. And then I collaged what my writing, and there were drawings onto the cabinet door. So each door was like one of the entries. It's transcribed in a book, so it's like a graphic novel. Anyway, so that's the whole story from back in 2008. This is one of the cabinets. And it's a book called Mousetrap, which you can order if you want online. So this, again, around 2008, I guess I was interested in, I had seen another artist who painted on roofing paper, and I love seeing that contrast. This is kind of impressionistic also, that we were talking about bringing the color in. But anyway, what I liked about it was that pretty bold contrast, especially for nature for me. And it was kind of immediate. I didn't have to prime a canvas, and you could just tear it. Not all roofing paper is the same, by the way. And I think I had seen this artist. It was someone who was from the South in a sort of an art expo at the DC Convention Center years ago. And I looked into how to get roofing paper, and I went to the community forklift in near Hyattsville to get that. You didn't have to get a whole roll of roofing paper. And that's also where I ended up getting my cabinet doors. So there's this one. This is Spring in Rock Creek Park. And I believe that these are both acrylic, right? Okay. This is a little bit different surface of tar paper, roofing paper. It seemed more like a heavy pastel paper. You can kind of see the texture of it. So this was if anyone was around here, there was it was like a double blizzard in 2010. And that's when I painted this. So it's one of my favorite places, Rock Creek Park, and this was a snowy trail. And it was a challenge painting the white snow. So, but I love drawing into the paint. I do that with the other end of my brush. And when I drew into the paint, you can also see the color, the black roofing paper. Okay, well, Ken, you have your hand up, or did you already ask? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm mostly a music guy, but I like your work and I like the colors in it. And I like that it is not abstract. You can tell what the images are. And I could recognize, that area around DuPont Circle. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a music guy. I don't do this. but I can appreciate it.
Thank you.
And sorry that I'm gonna have to leave early, but I said to someone I might help them walk their dog, so.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I
so-
may send you a Facebook message.
Okay.
Right.
So he reminded me, I was going to say, you could see some of this is autobiographical. It's like I have a connection to these places. And that also comes across with the 3D work that I'm doing, not always, but anyway, so this is a place that we walk very often. And I look at it and I kind of get the feel, I know this section right here. This was another that I did at the same time. This one seems more realistic than this one. And all that ice that was on in the water there. Okay. So in 2010, my husband had written or rewrote, updated a book called The Shiny Shell. And I had learned a little about encaustic at the time. I learned with Ellen Weiss, and with her, I was collaging using my figurative work, the life drawings. But I thought I'll try to illustrate the story, The Shiny Shell. And so I was using charcoal drawings, mounted them on wood, and then embedded them in encaustic, the hot wax. And so the pigment is in the wax, beeswax, Daymar crystal, that combination. But here, what is the benefit? Well, you can see this texture, and most of the story is underwater, and I just thought that would be great for encaustic. So that was new to me. So we have all the illustrations that are for this story. This is also around that time, and here I collage with one of my life drawings, a charcoal drawing. And I could draw in the wax, and I would add an oil paint to show that. So there's some energy to it. I did have a show in 2012. It was the first time for me exhibiting my encaustic work. It was at Glen Echo Park, Popcorn Gallery, and it's pretty successful. I was really happy to have it out there and for a lot of people in the community to see it, including other artists. And, you know, this was new to me, but I really enjoyed this medium. Here's more. So it has a little bit of collage, sometimes papers I include. And for years, I would go to life drawing at Montgomery College nearby, and every Saturday or most Saturdays. So these were from life drawings. This one, collage and encaustic. And this one, there's a poem that is in a book that my husband wrote. It's in that book. And this is actually the cover of that book, From Within. And same thing, charcoal, encaustic. All right, so I'm including more of the works with the figure, and here also there's collage. This was my the piece that I featured. I had an exhibit at Politics and Prose, the downstairs, the cafe. This one started as a charcoal drawing, and then I decided to paint in wax over it, encaustic, and I've scraped back so you can see some of the charcoal, but there's a lot of sculpting kind of like around the beak. So it's a lot of relief that you would see up close. Again, this one was the charcoal drawing, and then I painted in the wax. This is in 2018. And I was doing an artist residency at the Encaustic Castle. Patricia Sedgwick And there were 5 of us for 2 weeks, and I got to be very good friends with Leah McDonald, who was there. So it was in Lexington, Kentucky. And this one and the next one, you'll see that I'm not really relying on the charcoal drawings. I'm sketching right on the wax on the panel. And I do some incising, drawn lines into the panel, into the wax. So there's acorns you could see in the texture. And then I'm adding oil stick, which I mentioned before. So it's not with a charcoal drawing, and it's kind of looser in a way. So it's painting. And for anyone interested in caustic, to me, it's similar to painting with oils. This again, I did this when I was there and tried to achieve the texture like of the birch trees. And we had gone to the Pacific Northwest. Well, I guess I had photographs. I know that we were there in 2011, and then also it was 2018. And time-wise, I'm not sure, maybe it was from that trip, probably. And then these came about around that time, 2018. And the first one, the one on the right, was one that I did when I also work with youth who in wraparound service. So expressive arts, I'm not an art therapist, but youth with emotional struggles. And I was assigned a family, 3 boys, very young, and I wasn't sure what kind of art to work with. Still like drawing, I just didn't know. And a friend came to this place who was an art therapist who recently she died. She suggested construction, bringing things together. So I brought cardboard. I thought we could build houses. So I did my house. And they worked on house. Someone did a rocket. And I got so attached to it. And I did carry it around with me. And I was teaching at the Smithsonian. I guess I started teaching in 2015. And I thought I'd like to teach a class in this tiny houses. And the education supervisor at the time said, I love your house, but she didn't know if just that picture was going to be enticing, whatever. She said, do another. So I did the other 2, and she would say, the picture will sell the class. So I did these other 2, and I'm using cardboard, milk cartons, one on the left, coffee can. I've used oatmeal containers, you name it. And the one that's in the center is kind of wabi-sabi. It's not like straight across, but I felt like these had personality. And I noticed that the longer or the more attention I gave to it, it would evolve, it would come about. And I think also I was, in those 2 cases, the more attention, again, I thought it looked like more like an adult didn't. So those were the ones that I was featuring for these classes. And so I'm also using some found objects. On the one on the left is a piece from a broken clarinet, and they're for the moat. And there's other pieces of it, like if you turn it aside. So these are acrylic on paper mache on cardboard. These were more that I did during the pandemic. The one on the upper right is Rock Creek Park, and you know how people would maybe walk in the park a lot, and so it meant a lot to me. The one in the bottom center, you can see Black Lives Matter, more about COVID, George Floyd, and vote. That was from 2020. And there's one that's in encaustic, so it's the same construction, but then I painted it with wax, and then I also carved into it. So I started teaching this class online. I had already taught like 2 in-person classes at the Smithsonian of tiny houses, and it was fun. People enjoyed it. So I thought this would be a good thing for people to do at home. And my first class was March 31st, 2020. And I told people you could use things you might have around the house and So that was the start of teaching virtually for me. And it's worked out, and it does feel like a community. I'll say more about it later. But anyway, so these were the Tuesday group, and then also a Saturday. I had a Saturday daytime. And it was my friend Marilyn who suggested doing a tiny home tour. And we did a virtual session like this, like an art reception, and people would talk about their houses, and did more of these. You'll see the summer tour. Anyway, so you could see some of the houses here. My sister wrote an article about this and how expressing love in paper mache. I mean, it was very interesting. It's on my website. Then summer, and at this point there was starting to be some people from other parts of the country too. So same kind of thing. There's a gypsy caravan. Some of these also, I had children's classes. Oh, so Claudia, I have a link to your website, and I just somehow I was having a problem with my Keynote. It just kept shutting down when I was pasting in the image, so I had to do that. Now, oh, that's not it. Okay, so can everyone see? I'm bringing up Claudia's blog, and Claudia's here all the way from Delaware, and and we met, and I'm talking about community because I wouldn't have known Claudia, but she took a class, and then she really got into the paint to tiny houses, and she has such cool techniques, and we finally met in person last month, about a month ago.
Thank you, Marcie.
So Claudia gave
that class like changed my life. I love tiny houses. And like you said, we never would have met, now we've met in person. It's just great.
It is. So that's why I'm sharing this. And she wrote about this on her blog. And she really floored me when she gave me a house. And that was so special. So this is the house she gave me. And Claudia does incredible work. And interesting that her work translates, and I emailed you about it, in, you'll see her drawing style, painting, colors, whimsy. I mean, in her other work, there's enamel, there's jewelry. So anyway,
Can
so
you
here's
show her house?
Her house, I have it here. It's downstairs. Yeah.
I mean, can you click on the link? There's just a link showing.
Oh, you mean you don't see her website? Oh, okay, here I am.
Oh, this is her website, but maybe you can click on it. Yeah, we see the link to it.
Right. Okay, I thought you all were looking at it with me. Okay, here we go. All right.
Oh, okay.
So I put it in the chat. She wrote about visit and the tiny houses, and it was just great to see her work. And this is the house that she gave me. So there's good pictures of it. And she has some interesting techniques. And I told Claudia she should come with me to New Zealand because she's got it down.
You inspired me, Marcie, but you also let me go my own way in the class, which really, was, so many times you take a class and the teacher says, do it my way or else. You encouraged me to just explore and go however I wanted to go. I mean it. This is, I love making them, and like you said, it helps me express. It's the same kind of thing I do in other stuff, but the tiny house is just different. And I like to give them as gifts to people because I think house is home, and that's now we have a home together. I don't know. It's just really important symbolically to me.
What did you make them out of?
A cardboard box, like, Amazon, box, and then I just paint them and build them and stick stuff on them, and I can't stop. But it's mostly cardboard, mostly that's what, and acrylic paints and, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I put her link in the chat so you could also see more of her work. And like I said, she's been doing enamel, jewelry, and it's some of the same. Maybe Lisa can talk to you about you doing an evening, because it's such cool work. It was so great to see Claudia and meet her husband.
Well, thank you. I didn't know you're gonna have this. I'm like feeling, thank you.
Yeah,
Where are you
well,
located, Claudia?
I live in Wilmington, Delaware.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
great to
I'm
you.
gonna come back to that PowerPoint too. Okay. There we go. Yeah, Claudia, I'm glad I could show it and also introduce you, because like I
Well,
say,
thank
it's
you.
community and just what we
Yeah,
were talking.
exactly. We would never have met except for this through this link. That's totally true.
Right. So so more about connecting. This is not a tiny interior that I did. And I was drawing regularly with this group called To Be or Not to Be collective, and drawing. And so life drawing with people around the world, and it was out of the UK, but the models could be anywhere. And you really get to know these people. I would do it every Sunday morning, 2 hours. At the halftime, we'd share our work, we talk about the materials. It was a real nice community, and I feel like they're friends, the people that I met. So Holly modeled when she was pregnant, and then after she had her baby. And I wanted to do a nursery, because that's something I want to do. So I built this, constructed with the chair, the crib, and in that mobile is I think there's a dog, there's a horse, heart, moon, maybe, and well, the world. And the world is the idea of connection. And especially, as all of you know, in COVID, the connections were really important. So, and this here, it's people from all over the world. So I really it was just so positive, like you say, it's silver lining COVID. So anyway, so that was a different kind of construction, more like what is it, 2-3 walls, but an interior. And this was 2021. The same time I did this one, and you see how actually the people are 2D, but they're in a 3D environment. And Eddie had modeled several times for us. He's in New York, and he's a therapist, Native American, and he had all these plants in the yellow room where he modeled, and sometimes his partner would model too. So I included the plants. Again, paper mache, cardboard, encaustic. And this other one, the fashionista, he was a designer. And so this was me taking a leap, and I made a winter coat by, maybe it was another designer that had been shared with us in that group, but I gave him those big boots, and there's also a skirt, and you could take it off of the hanger. And I've got around the outside of it are incised drawings of other clothing. And I was working on it and remembering, this reminds me of, I used to work at Webster Menswear. Anyone in the Baltimore, DC area might remember. This was like, when was it? 1980, I don't know, something like that. And once in a while, I did do some advertisements. Mainly, I was making signs, but I did some sketching that turned into ads. But we can't see it here, but around the outside of it are sketches of other clothing, because he was a designer. And because it was when I was working on it, I was remembering that. So this piece actually sold. It was exhibited at the Labor Day Art Show at Glen Echo Park. And I had exhibited all 3 of them, and I thought that was really cool that someone was interested enough to get this. This is more recent, and it's my front porch. Same thing, cardboard encaustic, or paper mache encaustic. And that's my husband's sculpture on the left. And this is just how, to me, it's how the front porch looks. Again, it's not so realistic. It's not like a miniature, but it's more my impression of it. And at first I cut out what would be the over the railing so you could get a view outside, so it would be open. And then I thought, I think I'll paint that view. So you'll see here, and then there's, if you're looking from the front, and if anyone has been at my house, it looks like this. And there's that banner that my husband made. And then from the side, you see plants hanging on the other end. And I spent a lot of time on the porch during COVID, which we had never really used the porch that much. But my younger son and I have a podcast called Son of a Bitch. And we did a lot of the podcasting on our porch. So that was kind of a tribute to my porch. This one I did last year, tiny chemo room, and it was when I was going through treatment for breast cancer. So it was at Sibley Hospital, and I did it because I just felt so appreciative of the care that I was getting, and just always being well taken care of. So that's me in one of the chairs for the chemo, and there's like, to me, it looks like those curtains that are there. There's that big chemo, what held the drug. Inside is a chair, another chair for visitors, and usually my husband would come. But so it's open window, and then on the sides there's the koi pond, and you'll see the koi pond comes up again. And also there's this statue outside of the parking garage, so you could see that there. So that's on the sides. This one I just finished. It's a tiny art studio because I was I visited Claudia when I was coming back from Leah McDonald's in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, and I was working in her studio, and I thought, oh, I think I'll do a tiny studio. So I have different parts of her studio there. There's curtains, the chair, the mannequin, her dog. There's the encaustic griddle, and there's the tiny studio I'm working on. And then if you look closer, there's another tiny studio in there. So that was a lot of fun. I mean, I just like holding it, and it just, there's something to it. So anyway, there's that. Oh, okay. So this is looking on the outside, and it really, it was like a second home. I mean, I really enjoyed being there, being with Leah and her family. There's the flowers in the bathtub. There's the Buddha sculpture outside. And I put this in because you could actually see through the window the little tiny studio. And then there was that other nude sculpture, have her against the wall there, because I didn't do such a great job of that. It's here, but I didn't include it anyway. So more about the koi pond. So using the photo reference at the koi pond, I did this one rendition is collage with acrylic on a book cover. So getting the idea, so it's kind of loosely, you get the idea of the fish by color, maybe by shape. And you can see the texture to it because I worked on top of something that I decided I needed to repurpose even that artwork. So it's repurposed book cover and on other art. So that's one version, picking up on the colors. This is another one, and Lisa's used this for one of the calendars. This is a 12 by 12, it's encaustic on a panel. And I've used this time a little bit of that white oil stick, which is oil paint, something to get it a little bit more atmospheric, but same idea, koi pond, a little bit drawing into it. And then again, one of my students was showing us something that she learned, which was, I think she was using stencils. And if you look closely, there's stencils underneath what would be the water, in the water. So she and I use like other store-bought stencils actually, and almost like you're stamping, you're putting paint on and then painted over that with white, and then removed where I wanted to have the color showing, or so there was some back and forth, and that's how this came about. So I was using alcohol or alcohol and water solution to remove some of the paint, and maybe it gives you some idea of depth too with it. This is something that I would do at the beginning of my mixed media classes. I call it the redaction booklet, or it's also called blackout poetry. And so this is one of my samples, and I did a lot of that. And the students also work with this. Just here's some more of my mixed media work, like birds, and bringing other collage papers or gel plate prints into it and collaging with those. Like in this case, painting with paper, although I do come over with acrylics too over it. These yellow tulips came about. They were a gift from a friend of mine, and I think that it just sort of comes together. I'm noticing the lights and the darks and the contrast, and I try to convey that in the artwork. So I also worked over something else. So there is a lot of texture to this. Even pieces of old car rubber mat flooring or pieces in here that I cut, trimmed, glued down, and painted over. There's part of a dog collar that I had, and sometimes things are just in reach and I include it, but I feel like I can always paint over some of these objects. More about the encaustic paintings that I was in from using the models from drawing with the To Be or Not to Be collective. And this model was in India. This was one of my mixed media pieces from flowers that actually those flowers belong to my sister, and my other sister gave them to her, but they left them at my house. So I used these flowers for me and my students. So we did the, use it as a reference. And it ended up that I submitted it for the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County, and they were really encouraging people to get outside, and it became one of their banners, Art Happens Here. And that's in Poolsville at Locals, the restaurant. And that's me and my sister, who now has the painting, and those were her flowers, by the way. So, and also if you haven't been, I think anyone, take a trip to Poolsville. It's really cool place and great restaurant there. I also do art sessions at Riverworks through their they had an exhibit at their gallery, so another great asset to our community. So I just included here some other work that I do with students, young people, different ages, and this was last year. I worked with grades 4 and 5. This spring, I worked with grades 1 and 2, and it was building tiny houses, building a tiny community. And then it was through a grant that I could do that. After school programs. And funny thing is this bottom left one where I'm showing them how to make a photo transfer. I had all their attention. I think I said, it's magic. And they all were so interested in this. And it's cool. It's just an easy way of making a photo transfer using contact paper. And this was for the Civic Circle. That's it. Okay. And an after school program. So just different programs in the community. This was last spring. And then I also went back this spring working in encaustic and also mixed media in Caroline County, Denton, Maryland. And this is the families, children and adults. Now, these are young children that I work with for building a tiny community, and it was over a whole school year. I would go every other Tuesday in Columbia, Maryland, and these are some of their houses. Working with the youth and some youth with emotional struggles. Here with some seniors, and there's Molly there, one of my tiny home builders extraordinaire. Some of the artwork. More of the people's work, and I was going to also show you a short clip of, but I will keep going here. This is my virtual teaching studio. These are from recently, like in May. I did also a tiny house class here at our new Silver Spring Aquatic and Recreation Center for ages 55 and up. And then they're also from the group at Flower Hill. There was a 1st and 2nd grade tiny houses, and then there was 4th and 5th grade altar books. So it was a pretty busy May for me.
Wow. So you taught at the aquatic center?
Yeah, in May.
Oh, how were the facilities?
Great, brand new.
Yeah.
It's
Have
really
to go
nice.
check it out.
Yeah. And then I don't know if Helen and Amy are here. Maybe Lisa, are they? Or is
I'm
Amy-
here. Amy's here. I just
Amy.
don't have my camera on.
Okay, so Helen and Amy have been drawing with me on Mondays since, well, sometime in
Pandemic.
2020. Yeah, yeah. And I have a couple of their artworks. This is Helen's of Congressman John Lewis. This is one of Amy's. Amy, do you want to talk about it?
I don't remember the type of fox this is. Do you remember the name?
I don't remember the name, but it was
But
really
yeah, and then
neat.
just has this really different colored fur. So that was just really interesting to draw this fox. And it was we had these certain what are these called, Marcy? I don't
Oh,
remember.
I know. The water-soluble graphite.
Graphite, yeah, and they're like Taylor's chalks, but
Right.
they're extremely intense color when you get them
Yeah. that's it.
wet, which I don't think I did too much in this. And it's actually hard to find projects to use them on, but the fox was just kind of a really good
Right.
uh project to use it on, and it
Right.
would really help bring out the really different color of this fox and the texture of the fur. So
And that's actually, that is like the color of the fox that
I
we're
know, it's crazy.
Thanks, Amy. This also is Amy's.
Aw.
My sheep, yeah. Yeah, we had a run of sheep. Like, well, during the pandemic, we would try these different subjects, and we found that that animals kind of, I guess, release the most endorphins. So that's usually what we needed on Mondays during the pandemic. So we had, and then Helen likes sheep. So I know we did a lot of sheep, but this one is I don't know, he's just funny. So
Yeah,
just
I love
says
it.
hi to you when you come into a room.
Right, right. It's great. Thanks. And then this is Helen's. Oh, it looks like I cut off her name at the bottom. Her peacock, and a lot of us were drawing the peacock in all of my classes. I've taken this picture of a peacock as a reference. And she did this on mixed media paper, and I always tell people, like, what does this remind you of? The feathers, the ones that are behind the neck.
Mhm.
And she did so much of that
Mhm.
pattern in the color, and captured like what looks to be like netting around it. And I always thought this was great. And I think she used the Caran d'Ache, which is a water soluble pastel, very strong pigments. So I think she really captured this peacock. I have some from my Tuesday, the daytime and the evening classes. And Kathy, I don't know if she's on here, but we do art warm-ups, and she is like, she'll email these like while people are still working on them. And they're only like 8 to 10 minutes, and she'll have different variations. So the one at the top, we mentioned this artist's name. Do you all see what's inside? It was like find a figure and take out the figure and replace the figure with other collage materials. Anyone? Well, if you turn your head, it's the bullfighter, or maybe there's a different name, Matador, Manet's painting. Can you see that? Inside the figure. You see the gold sash? Okay.
Yeah.
And also on the bottom, she did a rendering with cut papers of a goblet that was at the Hillwood that I shared pictures, and I thought that was great. So there's some other work from the evening class, and Denise, she does the warm-ups, and sometimes I'm like, well, do you want to do this one? And sometimes they're like, no. And then, but she did it, and I love what she did with the waiting room. I told her it reminded me of the show My World and Welcome to It, the animation show, the TV show, maybe in the late 60s or 70s. Anyway, that drawing kind of reminded me of that. And Nadia's work is on the bottom. Okay, so this is something that I wrote. I use it in a statement sometimes about the work that I do. And you can read this. Okay. All right, that is the end of the slideshow. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Thank you, Lisa. Family, community, lovely people.
Great. Thank you so much, Marcie. This was great. And I'm not sure if you got all the accolades that people were posting in the chat that you can scroll through later. I think there might have been a question too. No, maybe not. I think we got all the questions. Anyway,
Okay.
we have time for a few questions or comments with others. If folks have any questions or comments, just raise your hand or jump in. We have something here in the chat. Thank you from Elizabeth. Really impressed with what you've done, especially through COVID and beyond. Enjoy New Zealand. I saw a few other things in there and other comments. Enjoy New Zealand. Thanks, Marcie.
I thought it was interesting, all the different mediums that you used in putting different things together.
Yeah,
That
and
was nice.
In looking back, I think maybe I select this medium, or what is the benefit of it, and it's not all the same. But yeah, I was gonna mention that about the meetings. Thank you.
You know that Sylvia is also a fellow artist, Marcie. She makes the faces from recycled material.
Yeah, right. So
Wonderful
no, there's
faces.
Sylvia. Yeah, I know. Because the face.
And was our
And
featured
you're
artist last
another
month.
fan of cardboard too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Easy to manipulate.
Cardboard is underrated. People don't. We get it, Marcie.
I know, and
Cardboard is where it's at.
right. Yeah, there's a lot of artists will transform cardboard and not paint it, even manipulate it. Yeah. So
Great.
thank you. I guess that's all. So thanks everyone for joining in. I guess we ran a little late, but I appreciate you all.
Can you tell us really quick about your upcoming the conference and what you're going to be discussing in your presentation? And
Well, it's someone there is collecting cardboard for me, way in New Zealand, even like milk cartons and funny, we were checking in and she said, can baby formula containers, okay? I said, sure, right? Because it's something they don't have. But anyway, I'll have some time before the conference to get stuff together because I cannot bring knives with me on the plane. I don't know. But so what am I doing? The first week we're gonna do a little bit of traveling around, but also the week of the conference, which is September 5th, 6th, and 7th, I'll be make sure I'm comfortable with the workshop, the place there, and I'll probably run it like all the building tiny houses class that I've been doing, but it will be interesting to see how other people work with this and what they come up with. And you know, it's only 3 hours. It was going to be 6 hours, and then I thought, well, then I won't be able to see other parts of the conference so much, so it's going to be 3 hours.
Oh, so it's a talk and a hands-on activity.
Right. So I'm going to share with them what I've done working with different populations, and show of students' work too, and sample, and but I don't know that much about what we're going to be doing there at all. Right. So we'll
I'm
see.
so excited for you.
Right. It's beautiful. I mean, I just want to take in the landscape, the scenery, the air, you know.
Oh yeah.
So
It's a trip of a lifetime. So
okay. And then also I do have I'm leaving later this month, but I have an abbreviated Tuesday series, day and evening. I put it in my newsletter. If anyone's interested, I'm gonna put it in the chat, my email address, but here we go. Oh, it's in caps, sorry. Okay. And yeah, I did a lot of work in July, and this month I'm gonna wind down. But my Tuesday, I was gonna share this. Hold on. Sorry, just a second. There's a short.
oh right, you were gonna show a video.
Right, it's just a short video. It's 20 seconds. It's that short. Okay. And this was just, I'm so fortunate to work with my students, and the Tuesday groups especially awesome. Here's some of them.
I am so happy to be with all of you. And I don't really care what anybody's doing. I'm just happy about it.
Me too.
And Marcie, I love hearing you talk. I love watching your demonstrations. I really don't care what you do. I'm just happy to be here. And you don't even have to do that much.
You're here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they are great. And I wanted to share that. So
Well, I wasn't kidding when I said that Marcie's students love her, and I know that a lot of folks gathered here tonight are included in that, including fellow artists who are you learn from. They're also your students in a way. You're theirs, and learning.
well, also we inspire each other, and in the classes some people share, and Claudia, you always would share, and really you know, that was very helpful, because you know what people are doing, everyone. And Lisa reminded me, I'm having a party here on the 17th, and everyone is invited. You have my email address if you want more details. So
That's Saturday the 17th from
2 to 6, right? And the music, it's art and music. So Paradiseville, my husband's band, will be playing. Yeah.
Great, looking forward to that. And so people can just email you at marcieplusart@gmail.com.
Right. Right.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Marcie, and we thoroughly enjoyed this, and I know everyone wishes you a wonderful experience at the upcoming trip to New Zealand as well, and I'll look forward to seeing you before you leave. So, and then I can't wait to hear all about it when you get back. So,
Thanks,
thank
Lisa.
you. Thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.